I was asked to present on some best practices following a critical incident, thinking about the mental health of the providers, of yourselves. So I'm going to give you some information that I think will be helpful, and then if you have any questions, just let me know. All right, so first we'll start with what is a critical or traumatic incident. Obviously we run a lot of calls. They're not all significant, but just to give you an idea of some, obviously anything involving any of our employees or associated units like PD and stuff like that. A mass casualty event that could have multiple deaths or injuries associated. Any gruesome injuries or civilian deaths under suspicious circumstances. And I say that because I've run a few where it really stuck in people's minds. They didn't have closure to how this incident occurred. And it was talked about for a while. So anything that's newsworthy, death or violence to a child. And let's say you're engaged in a very challenging rescue effort for a period of time with all the hope in the world that everything's going to work out, and then it doesn't. Can you guys think of any other particularly traumatic incidents?
Anything that has to be traumatic, honestly. Just anything that has an adverse psychological impact on the employee.
Exactly. I mean, even running fires, seeing people, the families lose everything, and just seeing that sense of loss, right, and almost empathizing and being able to put yourself in their shoes. Anything else?
The call can be depending on what you bring into it based on your own experience, either as a provider or as a family member or a patient.
Yeah, so something also that maybe you associate with closely, maybe someone looks like your friend, that kind of thing, where you can really bring it into your own life and feel that sense of loss. So there's some studies that show it takes about 12 weeks to recover from any traumatic incident, any exposure to something traumatic. And that does include us. We're not superhuman. We're a very resilient population, but we are exposed to these things just as much as other people, and we can have some of the same side effects. So just thinking about that, could you run one and then run one that night? Could you run one the next tour? Right, so this is when we start talking about sort of compounding things. And so looking out for yourself and also the people around you. And you guys are going to be those leaders on these EMS scenes when you're running some of this stuff. And so we'll talk about kind of how you can engage and facilitate certain things. All right, I have numbers. I was going to pull it up, but I won't do that. Studies show doing a debrief, I love saying that, immediately after the incident. They sometimes call this a hot debrief or a hot wash. So before clearing the scene, for example, at the firehouse with units out of service, immediately following the incident, even at the hospital still with the hospital staff, can help people get acceptance to what that call was. You want to try to include all parties involved if possible. So all FRD units that were on the incident, police, hospital staff. So if it's better to go back to the firehouse and do this, so you make sure that you got everybody there and you can kind of go around the room and talk to everyone. I want to be clear that this is not a let's all sit around and share our feelings. It's not what this is intended to do. Can you? Sure. But it's not a touchy-feely thing. It's really just talking about, for each person, hey, what did you do? What did you see? Like, what was your perspective of this call? And how do you think it played out? And really that just allows people to not walk away with feelings of guilt. So that's where those studies will say that people have left feeling like, is it something I did? You think about maybe a rookie who maybe it's their first pediatric CPR, and maybe they didn't feel already confident in their skills and they felt like, I don't know if my compressions were right. I don't know if I did. You don't want them to walk away feeling that way. We want to give people a sense of just acceptance and closure. Hey, we did the best we could. All right. Any questions on that?
Is there I know this is immediately following the incident, but is there a golden time to do it? Because a lot of times you'll be replaying that incident in your head so much that you could be talking to me, but I'm not listening to what you're saying.
Yeah, no, there's no particular time. The reason we say to do it here is because, or quickly, is because it also allows people to, you know, decide, are they going to stay at work? It allows people to get that out of service time where we can get all units, maybe stay on the call or just request it, hey, we just need an hour of out of service time. One thing I will say, and this will come up later, is you always want to follow up. So if you are the person that initiates checking in on somebody, make sure you do that follow-up, whether it's a week later, the next day, the next work day. Sometimes people need time to process it, so they may just go right on to the next thing, and there's a lot of distracting things, obviously at the firehouse, and people will use that as a tactic, just distract, let me do the next, run the next call. So sometimes they need that follow-up to say, you know what, yeah, this isn't sitting right with me, and I'm still replaying this, and is this normal and okay?
The other interesting thing is this helps also iron out misunderstandings, or we didn't have a shared understanding of what was happening at that time. It keeps short accounts. So, hey, why did we do this? You had a good reason. It was a specific decision that you made. Oh, okay, I get that. Fair enough. And it helps prevent things from going down pathways that aren't productive or effective.
Sure. And also, it allows you to learn, right, your skills, or if something didn't go right. So for your position, I do see you guys, let's say you're running all the way to the hospital with these crews. I see you guys doing this at the hospital and initiating this for the crews. And maybe that's just the folks that transported, and that's the hospital staff, and maybe one officer. But go back and talk to the shift leader. Hey, I really think we need to do a quick debrief on this and just get everybody involved. Some of this will or may or may not pertain to you guys going back to the firehouse, but I still think there is a role for you here. So back at the firehouse, now what? So I say consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a guide. Okay, so first set of needs is your physiological needs, and this is one of the biggest, most important things for our folks. So allowing that out of service time for people just to get back to baseline. Let them have a meal, let them sit down, take their shoes off, take a shower, maybe make a phone call to home if they need to, maybe lay down and just take some time to process the call. Or even just sit around and talk to, you know, maybe their closest peer, or as a crew, just to talk about it. So that does allow people that time that they need, and also assess people's needs, right? Or do people need to go home? Do they feel like they could give their all for a next call, and a next call that could be a very similar call, right? A pediatric something. Encourage completion of the critical incident exposure report, formerly known as a psychological exposure report, and then do it for yourself. This is going to play into Corvell down the road, covering us for any kind of psychological needs that we could have from the job. So this report now has been upgraded so that any officer can fill it out for their people. It will be still an individual report. You can't do it like you would a fire report, put everybody on it. It'll be one for each individual person. But if you know that, hey, these folks aren't going to get it done, you know, they're really rocking at whatever, Station 9, and they can't get it in, you can put it in for each of them. They'll all get a receipt. You'll get a receipt as the person who submitted it. And then it also gets, a copy goes to the Wellness Center, which is all the embedded clinicians that we have, the peer support team lead, which right now is me, and the battalion chief of health and wellness. There's no HIPAA information in there. It doesn't ask you any symptoms. It's literally just logging the exposure. And then do it for yourself. Again, you guys are not, you're probably going to be out there running a lot of critical calls, and you're going to see more of this than anyone. So make sure you're covering yourself as well. And then when you're talking to folks and you're doing a debrief or just engaged about the call, offer up available resources that they can look to if, hey guys, if this is sticking with you a little longer than it should. But normalize it, you know, hey, this is one of those calls, right? Yeah, I don't feel good about this call either. This call, like, sucked. So validate how somebody could be feeling. Let's not turn a blind eye and pretend like it didn't happen. But hey, if this is sticking with you guys in the next week or two, here's some resources for you. And we'll provide that to you, and I'll get you some information on that, but provide that to them and just reassure them, hey, the peer support team knows about this call. They've been briefed. Hey, the Wellness Center is aware of this call. They've been briefed, right? So that people feel even more inclined to reach out and say like, hey, I was on that, whatever. Awesome. So here are some available resources for really whatever you need, but if you're feeling kind of lost, like I want to do a debrief type thing, but I don't even know how to go about that. And it doesn't need to be in the moment when you need it. Maybe you reach out ahead of time. Say, hey, can I get some guidance on how I would lead this? Peer support team is available. We all have SharePoint pages. I think the chaplains have their own. Let me see if this will let me. Oh, it's not coming up. Oh, it doesn't want to show it on there for some reason. So peer support team has a SharePoint page. There's a phone number. Let's see. Exit. Is it working? It's on my screen. I don't know.
You may need to drag it over. Yeah.
Drag it?
Yeah, drag it. Drag it over the direction you just cursor. And it on your screen.
Let me try it again.
There you go.
Ah, sweet. Okay, it's going to take a second. So peer support team has a SharePoint page. I just want to show you some of the information you can get there so that you at least know. Well, now it's not going to let me even. I dragged it over. Now I can't do anything with it. So if you scroll down, there's some information on here. You can click this. It'll take you to request a clinician. That's for anyone. This is available to anybody. We do have a central line phone number right there. And then if you go further down, there's a link to the chaplains. Chaplains have a site. We won't get all into that, but it lists all the chaplains that are available. This also does have my information and then all of the peer support team members that are on the team with their information as well. So if you wanted to reach out to any of them directly, you have the ability to do that. And there's some other good resources down in there, but we won't do that. And then let me see if I can get you to the Wellness Center. How do I drag it back? Oh, there it is. Okay, so take this and just drag it back this way. Interesting. All right. Okay. Let me click on the other one real quick. Even though we're not going to be able to see anything, but I'll take you to the wellness page. I can scroll down just a little bit on this one. Yes, since I guess I can mess with it over here, can I? There we go, I can do this. All right, I'll figure it out. All right. So this is for the Wellness Center. This is actually under Office of the Fire Chief, Health and Wellness, and then it says Behavioral Health. But this also provides a lot of good information. This is, again, if you it shows the resources they provide or services they provide as well. The team kind of goes through who all these clinicians are, which can also, if you're talking to somebody, it can just help, give somebody a face to a name, who's up there, their backgrounds and all that good stuff. But whether you need this for your own benefit, and you need some guidance, support, or if you want to just hand this off to somebody, you know where to find it now. All right, let's see. Oh Lord, I did not like this. Okay, let's see if we can get back to the presentation. Come on, baby. Yes, okay. All right, so peer support team, they will typically provide a check-in with the shift leader after any traumatic incident that they're aware of. They can also attend debriefs for support. They can help guide you if you're feeling stuck. We kind of have some techniques to get people warmed up. It is all voluntary. Available also for individual consults, so if somebody doesn't feel comfortable going to a clinician, but maybe they want to just talk to somebody about the incident, they can call any of us. And then we can also help facilitate some of those connections for people. So if they're talking to us, we can get them to the wellness center or EAP or something like that. Wellness center is available 24 hours a day. If you didn't know, the on-call number, which you can contact after hours, is located on the daily sheet. It's always on there. They will deploy to the location of the incident, to the hospital, to the firehouse, whatever you need to help host a debrief if you want. They can also provide additional information, flyers, things to look out for, that kind of thing, and then also other resources that they have connections with. And then also they can do individual appointments. So if you need some help following an incident sticking with you, you can do that. And then the chaplains are there for comfort, support. Same thing, they can go anywhere you need them to go. They can do it over the phone. When would you request a formal debrief by a clinician? I would say if you yourself are struggling emotionally with the incident and you feel like I can't really run this, I need help. If you see the shift is struggling, so not just your normal like, okay, everybody seems to be fine, we did our little hot wash, good. But if you see people are really struggling, have them come out and do that. They have good techniques to professionally kind of walk through one of those. Any compounding traumatic incidents in a short period of time. So we talked about that 3-month window, but this is more like, let's say Station 38, they had 2 pediatric drownings in a tour and then a big fire. You really do need to consider that this is not something that they're just going to sleep off. Okay, so getting a clinician out, getting them engaged, allowing them to come in and do a formal debrief where they can really kind of gauge what people need. Sometimes they will initiate this themselves with the shift officer or with any of you, because they'll be paying attention and say like, this isn't, we know better than you guys, you can't just move on from this. And then if you're just feeling lost on how to proceed, like I mentioned earlier, and you just need some guidance or a consult, they can come out, they'll bring some peer support folks with them, and then everybody works together.
This is something, and they probably talk about it here, it's something that I recognized when I first got into like a chase car role was you're going to be exposed to more critical incidents than you would on a regular transport unit or suppression unit, right? Because you're being like intentionally sent to those more seriously dispatched calls. So like I just look back and I was like, oh man, I've just run a lot of like really tragic calls in a very short period of time, and like I thought about that. So I just want like us to recognize that that might be a change that will be coming with this new role.
Absolutely. Yep. So some impacts from repeated traumatic incidents. This is just a few things, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of it because sometimes it helps to see that you can recognize this in yourself and others. But we've heard about these: burnout, compassion fatigue. Right, that's when you see folks out there just saying like, "Hey, you can walk. Let's go." There's just nothing. They're offering nothing. Let's go to the hospital. Vicarious trauma. And then obviously post-traumatic injury, which is one of the more serious ones. So burnout, cynicism, that's a hard one. We're all cynics, I feel like, at the firehouse. But if you're seeing changes in people or you're even feeling these yourselves, it's just time to pay attention. I know we're in the world of like, preventative medicine, but also therapy can be preventative. There are coping mechanisms that they can provide to you guys that you don't have in your wheelhouse. So pay attention to these things. Don't let them get out of control. I remember when Chief Duke was here, You know, he was so cynical, and somebody said something to him one time, like, dude, what's up? And he said, serious moment, but he said, you think this stuff doesn't bother you, but it all catches up to you. So he was really struggling in the background with all the things that he had seen and done over the years. Okay, so again, I'm not saying, hey, this is gonna happen to all of us, but it could. So just pay attention on top of your own personal life. So just dig a little bit into what these are so you know the difference. Compassion fatigue is stress that arises from frequent contact with traumatized individuals, right? We're just giving too much emotionally to people that over time, especially to folks that, you know, are super users and things like that, that basically put us in a position where we can't no longer empathize. Can result in emotional withdrawal, depression, anger, irritability, and mental or physical exhaustion. Just waking up tired, don't want to go to work. Vicarious trauma. This is the experience of basically taking on somebody else's trauma as your own. It is almost like that, you know, living vicariously through somebody. You all have heard that term. So, but this can actually affect your own well-being, and symptoms can be emotional distress, anxiety, and changes in your worldview, right? So you see enough bad stuff, and the bad stuff is this big of your world, and your pretty little happy space at home is this big. Well, then this is what the world looks like to you, right? Are you compartmentalizing or stuffing away? Compartmentalizing is actually something we all do. We do it with everything, but you're basically doing healthy things. You're using coping mechanisms to kind of get through it all. You know, you're integrating this into memory as an experience versus ignoring, avoiding, trying to forget, trying to distract. That can actually cause a lot of unresolved issues and emotional distress down the road. I like this. This is a stress continuum for first responders, and what I like about it is the colors. But we typically operate in the green and the yellow, and you can see in here it gives you some symptoms and things to look out for. You're always kind of dialing between green and yellow, but that yellow stress is sometimes that good stress. But also it can just be a moment. Something happened, all right, now I'm back, I'm good. But if you're toggling more into that yellow and orange, and you're staying more in that yellow, or you're staying in the orange, this is a really bad place to be. And I'm bringing that up to you, but also for the people that you're going to be, you know, interacting with on a regular basis. And you can say, hey, Cap, have you seen so-and-so? You know, after we ran that call, I'm kind of noticing this. But basically, we go from orange, which is really where you need to start thinking about maybe talking to somebody professionally, and ill. This is really an injured sort of state. You probably shouldn't be working in the field if you are in the red zone. All right. Like to talk about balancing. So what do we do about all this craziness? There's a variety of things. This is called the wellness wheel. So having close personal social connections, you know, spirituality is great, physical activity, and just kind of making sure everything that is in your control is in balance. And then last, I say always follow up. So if you're a part of this incident, whatever it is, do your due diligence and follow up with folks. Follow up with each other. I think also you guys are probably going to want to, you know, to John's point up there, you guys are going to see a lot of the same stuff. So this is kind of your crew, where, you know, you go back to the firehouse and you don't really want the outsiders there. You want to be with the people that were in the trenches on that incident with you. This might be your crew, where you can go back and be like, oh, I ran this thing, and I don't know how I did with this, or hey, you've done a debrief before, do you mind popping over and just helping me or guiding me? So we always do these tailboards after fires, but we don't always do this after incidents. So even do it on some of the ones, you know, just a regular CPR. Get your, it's kind of your groove down. Any questions?
Support each other. The thing that I didn't take into consideration is stepping into a buggy versus leaving a station with 17, 18 people at it it's very different when you go get back when you got 3 other people to chat with versus
you're,
No, please.
if you're running with, say, a new person's rookie, just brand new out of the academy, and they see you're vulnerable, then they'll open up a little bit more as well.
Agreed. And that goes back to, well, yes, vulnerability, but also validating their experience. Like, they see that it affected you, then they know, like, okay, it's okay for it to affect me, right? This is no longer the days of just like, suck it up. And sometimes we do that. We just do it naturally. Like, all right, on to the next. And some experience that I've noted is, you know, some people really actually get excited to do something great. No matter the outcome, they're like, oh man, I finally got to do whatever it is, right? Because they're using their training and they're like, I want to make a difference. So sometimes you actually don't see any of the, you know, these negative things that we're talking about. Sometimes it's actually the complete opposite. And then to the follow-up piece too, if you don't have the outcome of that patient or those patients at the time of the incident, you know, and you guys are probably, a lot of medics will go follow up, maybe BLS providers as well. But do the follow-up, because sometimes if the outcome was actually good and you can provide that to the crews, even though they're feeling like it didn't seem like it was going well, it provides reassurance for folks to say, oh, okay, we did do something right. Is there anything in this presentation that you feel like should be covered? This is kind of our first iteration with doing this with you all, and where you feel like, oh, I kind of wish we had talked about X, Y, and Z, or where do I find information on whatever?
That's a good question. The form just changed, right, from the last one, the emotional exposure?
Yeah, psychological exposure report. Mm-hmm.
It's changing something else, right? The old one had a checkbox if you wanted the clinician to follow up with you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still an option?
It is still an option.
What's
Yep.
the turnaround time for this?
That's a good question. I want to say it's like within 24 hours. They try to be pretty quick with following up.
Does that just go to a general, like inbox, and whoever is on call for that just follows up and check that?
No, it goes to, there's one person up there, he's the deputy director or something, whatever they call him, program manager. He's the one that will get that information and then kind of coordinate with whoever's available. Yes, sir.
One of the elements of the intentional design, and when we first undertook the EMS specialist program, we got together every 2 weeks and we discussed something, but it's also a forum to discuss cases. And we would discuss cases that they ran. That creates a forum where you can share experiences, because you'll have some common experiences and you will be sent on the most difficult, most challenging calls. You will have cases that go well and you'll have cases that go badly. And that's okay, that's expected. So one of the intentional design elements, it's not a flaw, it's a design, is to have a forum where we can talk those out, hear the stresses, give you closure on it so we can look up the patient outcome for you. Many times Dan or I will know what the patient outcome is. And let me just tell you at the start of the program, right? So you're going to have some advanced interventions and such. You will have intubations that are unsuccessful. Someday we will have an unsuccessful RSI. It's going to happen, just statistically. So having a forum that we debrief and diffuse all of them, we discuss all of them collectively and openly, and on the front end we tell you that is an anticipatable complication of a dangerous job that we do that's high risk, and it's okay. And we will tell you that again when it happens. So that is part of developing relationship and building trust. So know that that is an element that we seek to institute in this new model as well.